Hey, what's up, everybody? How we doing? Long time no stream. Spencer Israel here, back at it with another episode of Benzinga All Access. We are going to be doing these on a much more regular cadence going forward. We've got a couple scheduled for the rest of the year, but starting next year, we're going to be doing an all access show every single week on the same day at the same time. This is going to be a regular part of our programming. We've gotten some good feedback. We like it. We're going to keep doing it. And so that's that. Every edition of this show, we try our hardest to give each one a theme, right? Whether it's EVs or like just small cap stocks or whatever. Today, the theme is going to be crypto and blockchain. We're talking to two companies today that are intimately involved in the crypto and blockchain space. We're talking to representatives from those companies. But again, it's not really about should you buy this stock? Will this company's stock go higher? Will it go lower? Will it go sideways? We don't know. You don't know. They don't know, right? No one really knows that. That is not the point here. The point is to talk about the underlying business, to tell the story of the company, tell the story of the founder, if we have the founder on the show, talk about the company, talk about the underlying business. How does it work? Where is it going? Where is the industry going, right? Think of it as think of the companies that are on this show as a proxy for whatever industry they are in, right? Biotech, crypto, whatever. We're going to ask them questions about their industry, not just about their company. Brad Moore is giving some great feedback in the chat. Yes, Brad, I saw your comment from yesterday as well. The guests for today's show are in the description of this video, and I will show you who they will be in a couple of seconds here. But that's great feedback. We will have a schedule out ahead of time of who will be on this show. On today's show, our first guest is going to be joining us in a couple of minutes here. His name is Nick Hughes-Jones. He's the Chief Commercial Officer of Mawson Infrastructure Group. MIGI is your ticker. After Nick, we'll be joined by Sheldon Bennett. He is the CEO of DMG Blockchain, ticker DMGGF. Links to their company's information are in the description of this video. So welcome everyone who is just coming over from live trading. I was just caught the end of that. Mitch and Christian going till 11. Shout out to Mitch and Christian going till 11 o'clock for free, hanging out with you guys. I genuinely hope you guys made some money today. I have not been able to follow up on my thought on retail stocks. I'll have to catch up on that on Benzinga Live after this show. Super SPAC, man, when do we buy the dip? Always, man. You always buy the dip and chips while you're at it. Chips and dip. Always, always, always. We can get some music, Emperor Bear. We can definitely get some music. That's some good feedback. Brad Moore is long DMG blockchain by sheer coincidence. Awesome. Hey, they called out a big money yellow Amazon trade. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. I just got it trimmed. Okay, before I bring on Nick, I just want to take a couple of minutes here. And I want to spend, in addition to these two companies today, I want to spend some time showing you resources where you can learn more about the crypto world, blockchain world, crypto stocks on Benzinga. Okay. And I want to start off, and I've gone through these before, but I recognize that we have new viewers all the time. So I want to start off with this page here. Okay. This page is benzinga.com/crypto. Very simple to remember. Benzinga.com/crypto. Thank you, Aaron. This is sort of like our home base for all of our crypto coverage, our free crypto coverage on benzinga.com. You can see the heat map we have here powered by Quantified Crypto. They're also a good resource. Shout out Quantified Crypto. We've got articles, right? We've got the link to join our newsletter. We've got our interactive Moon or Bust game. Shout out Moon or Bust, guys. We've got the link to our trade ideas page, which is another thing we can talk about. But this is our homepage for crypto coverage on Benzinga. Trading ideas, trending stories, all of it centralized, one location. If you have a watch list, which I don't, but you can create your watch list there. This is one of, like, when I'm getting in the morning and I'm looking at news and I'm looking at trying to understand what's up, what's down, what happened overnight, especially in crypto, because crypto never stops. This is a page I have bookmarked. I have this page bookmarked, and I go here every day, just because I know every day there's bound to be at least 1, 2, 3 articles from overnight stuff that I missed. So again, benzinga.com/crypto, and the heat map also extremely valuable. Rather than having to look at 10 different charts, you can just look at one thing and just say, okay, broadly speaking, crypto's down today. I don't know why. I'll be honest, I don't really even care why. Let's be honest, right? Most of us, unless you're actively day trading crypto, which I suppose you can do, I don't do that, right? So I'm long and strong. I'm diamond hands and giving my Bitcoin to my kids one day, hopefully. Right. So I if anything, I said this yesterday. I look at pullbacks as buying the dip opportunities. And I'm actually getting interested. I did not get around to buying Bitcoin or ETH yesterday, but buying Ethereum is near the top of my to-do list here, like in life right now, near the top. But I oftentimes get distracted at work and I forget. But anyway, benzinga.com/crypto. Wanted to show you all this page. Emperor, there is 10 what? 10 crypto? 10 what kind of cryptos, man? Hey George, what's up? How's it going? Serena's got the right idea. Serena says you should smash the like for every new segment. Thank you, Serena. I appreciate that. What's up, Jesse? The second thing I want to promote before I bring on our first guest here is this page. Let me scroll way to the top here. I was way to the middle. And the link should be there. We'll put the link up on the screen. It's benzinga.com/money/best broker cryptos. This is a resource that our money team put together. Here, I'll put it on the screen right now. Okay. Benzinga.com/ and I'll put it in chat. I'll do one better. Put it in chat so you can actually click on it right there. This is a page that our money team put together. That is a resource. If our last page was a resource for like following the industry, following news, following the markets, this is more of an evergreen education resource. It is constantly being updated. If you have no idea where to start invest, all you know is that you want to start investing in crypto. You don't even know where. You don't know how. You don't know where. Let this page be your guide. Okay, it is constantly being updated. You see Logan Ross, right? He's the co-host of our Mooner Bus show. This page is his baby. Okay, this page was last updated 2 days ago. All right, and this page is his baby, and it's got information on all the biggest brokers. Right, you can use at least in the U.S. Right, Gemini, Coinbase, eToro, right, Interactive Brokers, Coinbase, I Trust Capital for retirement accounts, right? Webull, Voyager, right? Robinhood, BlockFi, information on all of these brokers, what they're good at or what they're best for, what they're not best for, what you should know, things like taxes. How does this impact your taxes, right? Every year, assuming you pay your taxes, which you definitely should, right? Key terms. What's a fork? What's a wallet? What is mining? We'll talk to miners in a couple minutes here, right? The whole page is a one-stop shop for crypto education, and there's even more links at the bottom here. I cannot recommend this page enough. Do not do what I did when I decided to invest in crypto and just say, screw it, I'm going to do it right now. And the first broker I think of, which is Coinbase, I'm going to do. And that's what I did. Do yourself a favor. Do just a little bit of research first, just because it's always better to do research than not. I wish I consulted this page and had a better understanding of the different fees, and the different offerings out there before I just went and boom, decided to open a Coinbase account. I don't have any real complaints, but I went in blind, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. So again, the link on the screen, link is in the chat, should be in the description. Cannot recommend this page enough, and I want to recommend these two resources because, again, the theme of today's show, right? Crypto and blockchain companies. So all that being said, let's get that off the screen. It is time for us to bring on our first guest here, and I'm going to do that right now. This is exciting here. Okay, we're talking to Nick Hughes-Jones. He is the Chief Commercial Officer at Mawson Infrastructure, ticker MIGI. Producer Aaron, let's see if we can get Nick here on the screen. Nick, what's up, man?
Hi, Spencer. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on today. How are we doing? How are things over there? And you're in Australia, correct?
Yeah, in Australia. It's early here. It's 3 a.m., but, Bitcoin never sleeps, Spencer, so here we are.
Dude, it's 3 in.m, guys, and he's on with us right now. If that ain't worth it, your thumbs up, I don't know what is. Nick, before we start and get into Mawson and talk about, the topic at hand here, can you just give us like some background on you? I mean, how exactly did you end up? I always find it interesting because it's such a nascent industry, right? So it's not like there's no way you studied this, right, in college. No one majored in this in college. So like, how did you get into this?
Yeah, so look, sort of by accident, my background's traditional financial markets, funds management, and stockbroking. I think I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013 and traded it for $500 and thought I was a hero.
Nice.
I wasn't in hindsight. I actually came across it back in 2018 properly and met the founder and CEO of Mawson Infrastructure Group, James Manning. He started up Mawson Infrastructure back then. We became friends and we saw just a huge opportunity. It was actually the maths that drew me to it, particularly from a mining perspective. The cash flow and the returns and the paybacks and the returns on capital were insatiable. So I made the jump from traditional finance into the digital world and have never looked back.
Wait, what do you mean that the math attracted you?
Just the way the protocol works. And, when we started, we were getting 6-month paybacks on all our hardware. So I'd not seen a business that produced cash flow every day and had paybacks of that nature.
Awesome. So you end up joining Mawson. And what year was that?
Circa 2019.
Nice. And things have changed a lot since then, I would imagine.
Absolutely. It was sort of the dawn of the industrial scale Bitcoin miner operations. Yeah. And, we've come a long way. The demand and the institutional demand in particular has gone through the roof, and I think is still going through the roof. The market's taking a bit of a breather the last couple of days, and I was listening to you earlier. I can't put my finger on it, but look, we're here for the long-term, short-term movements. The thing will go up and down. Miners have raised a lot of money in the last couple of weeks, so perhaps that's taking a little bit of the enthusiasm out of it. But, as I said, we're here for the long game.
Okay, so tell us about Mawson Infrastructure and what you guys are doing. And I've got
for sure. So look, market cap circa $800 million at the moment. We've just reported our Q3 earnings. We had a very busy quarter. By the end of November, we'll be at 0.8 of an exahash, which is producing circa 4.5 Bitcoins per day. That rises to 19.5 Bitcoin per day by Q2 2022, when we'll have 3.35 exahash online. And then by early calendar 2023, 5 exahash, which is circa 28 Bitcoins a day. So a very aggressive ramp up. We'll sort of 6x the size of the business between now and early 2023. We purchased over 17,000 Bitcoin miners in the quarter. We signed a new 100 megawatt facility in Pennsylvania. We kicked off the expansion of our facility in Georgia. That's Georgia in the USA, not the country Georgia. And
it's good that you specified that, because
it's good to clarify, right?
You don't always know.
Yeah, different jurisdiction. And look, one deal we're really proud of, we signed a partnership with Quinbrook Infrastructure Partners. And for those of you that don't know who Quinbrook are, they're a multi-billion-dollar green global energy infrastructure fund. So we'll co-locate our Bitcoin mining operations next to their green energy assets. And the first operation is actually live as we speak up in Byron Bay in Australia. So east coast of Australia is the first project, and they've got solar and wind projects through the US and Australia. So it's been a really busy quarter.
Can you talk a little bit about how you're funding all that expansion, all that mining expansion?
Yeah, sure. So we've something we're actually proud of. We've only raised circa $120 million to date. And I know a lot of companies sort of take the opposite approach and broadcast how much money they raise. We've got circa 25% of the business is owned by board and management. So, we treat the business, we treat our shareholders like we treat ourselves, with a lot of respect, and we don't like to unnecessarily dilute everybody. So we typically raise money. We raised money, $45 million for our NASDAQ listing, which was about 2 months ago, and had raised money via a pipe in August, $37 million. So we're fully funded out to that 5 exahash mark, and we sell Bitcoin on a daily basis. The reason we do that at this current juncture is that we would prefer to reinvest that capital into more Bitcoin miners, grow the business materially, and there may come a day where that process changes or that policy changes, but that's a board discussion for that day.
What can you say about your mining pipeline in terms of your exahash mining pipeline?
Yeah, sure. So look, we're at 0.8 of an exahash by the end of November, and that grows to 3.35 exahash by Q2 2022, and then that grows further to 5 exahash by early Q1 2023. And look, we've got 220 megawatts of energy contracted, which is more than 5 exahash worth of production. We recently purchased over 200 modular data centers, over 100 transformers, and we've purchased already over 40,000 miners. So we're in a really good spot for that rollout.
Maybe I should have started with a different question, because I never want to assume that everyone knows what you know or what I'm asking, right? So maybe I should have backed up for a second. Can you explain exahash? What does that mean?
Yeah, so crudely speaking, exahash is computing power, and the more computing power I have, the more Bitcoins you earn per day. So our quest is to get big quickly, keeping in mind that we only want to buy mining hardware when it makes absolute sense to do so. And I'll give you an example. So in January of this year, we paid $35 a terahash for our mining hardware. We bought 1 exahash worth of gear. That was about 12,000 miners. The price then went through the roof, up to around $100, $120 a terahash. And then with the Chinese miner exodus, came right back down to earth. And then we purchased again another 1.5 exahash at $54 a terahash. So coming back to your question, exahash is a measure of computing power. The more you have, the more Bitcoins you create.
And then I have a couple more company-specific questions, and then I wanted to get to just Bitcoin mining more broadly. Can you just explain to us where is your footprint? You mentioned Georgia already, but can you give us the full scope here, the full picture on where your mining facilities are? Did we lose Nick? I think Nick froze. Uh-oh. You know what it was? Is he mentioned China, which you're not supposed to do. That's the C word. China is the C word. I just did it again. I did it twice.
I'm just leaving him up there just for a little bit, just to see if he comes back, maybe.
Well, here. Let's move him backstage. I saw him leave and come back earlier. I hope we can get Nick back. But yeah, you're not supposed to say that. They just banned mining over there. They don't even like to be associated with, if you mention Bitcoin mining and China in the same sentence, like I just did, like I'm surely about to get hit by lightning right now, is what happened. So when Nick comes back, we will ask him. Yes, and Cole is asking a great question, and we put the comments in chat before. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. We are compiling them. I will ask your questions. I swear to you, I will ask your questions. Exactly. Whoever typed that was a genius. No better opportunity to ask an exec from a big blockchain your questions. I don't know even what that means, but the point is, ask. Yes, exactly, Emperor. They always freeze with an abducted alien's face. So Cole asked a great question. Brad asked a great question. James, not a terrible question, James. Not a terrible question. No such thing. Well, there is such a thing. I've asked more than my fair share of terrible questions. So we will get. Okay, I'm receiving word now that Nick's computer died. So the first thing we have to ask is why wasn't it plugged in? Hey, we've all been there. We've all been there. So Nick is plugging his computer back into a power source. Hopefully, maybe the same power source that their miners use, so we know it's legit. And when he comes back, we will have him back. In the meantime, oh wait, no, that's not Nick. That would be our next guest. I see our next guest working backstage. Sheldon Bennett will be on the show in a few minutes from now. But I want to get Nick back on here first. In the meantime, before we get to while we work on getting Nick back, I just want to show, as I say, that Nick is back. Nick, give me a thumbs up, man. Are you good? All right. First question for you, Nick, is why wasn't your laptop plugged in, broski?
Yeah, no, the connection must have got gnawed by a rat on the way to Australia to the US. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I assume, you work for a Bitcoin miner. You guys have a lot of power. We just talked about that. I would assume you have access to some power. So,
yeah, no, unbelievable. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. It happens. It's better than the alternative of you being abducted by aliens. We definitely didn't want that to happen.
Well, I wouldn't be back, right?
Yeah. Wait, what was my question? Oh, right. The your footprint.
Where are the facilities?
Yeah, facilities. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So our flagship facilities in Georgia in the US, we just signed a new 100 megawatt facility in Pennsylvania up in Midland.
Okay.
We've got a facility in Byron Bay here in Australia, and we're currently also in Nebraska. So 4 sites operational at the moment, and hopefully a few more to come in the next couple of months.
One of the things we always that you always hear about, especially within the context of mining, is Bitcoin mining, is ESG, and just the sheer amount of energy that you get that gets consumed, right, to mine crypto. I believe I just saw that you joined the Bitcoin Mining Council. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and also just about your strategy, whether, I don't know how you would phrase it, your ESG strategy, or your plan to not use like all the energy, right?
Yeah, sure. So that my computer works. Absolutely. So look, we actually take ESG very, very seriously. I think longer term, it's going to be very, very important in the industry. So 75% of our energy comes from non-carbon emitting or renewable energy sources, and it's predominantly nuclear, wind, and hydro. For the 25% that is currently, fossil fuel related, we use carbon offset credits. So we purchased 22,000 tons of credits in 2020. We'll do a couple of X that this year. We also plant 78,000 trees to date. We'll plant 53,000 trees in 2022, which is a tree planted every time a block is created on the Bitcoin blockchain. On the social side, we sponsor a bunch of local schools in the Sandersville, Georgia area, the Washington County COVID Relief Program, the Chamber of Commerce, and we've got a fully independent board and an audit and risk committee. So it's something we take really, really seriously. And I think, ultimately the ESG tailwinds we're seeing out there in the market at the moment will come through into the Bitcoin universe also. And turning to the Bitcoin Mining Council, Elon Musk, jumped up and down earlier this year, which we thought was fantastic. And, a lot of the fossil fuels come out of the network, and that's a good thing.
You said nuclear, wind, and hydro, I believe, as your alternative energy sources. I'm just curious why those, as opposed to solar, or, something else.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we think nuclear is a really good transition energy from sort of natural gas, oil, fossil fuels before we can get to a fully renewable world, which is, hydro, solar, wind. The states that we operate in Georgia in particular, they're building 2 new nuclear power plants over the next 18 months, Vogtle 3 and Vogtle 4. I'm hoping to tour Vogtle 3 in March of next year. And, they're 2 1,200 megawatt Westinghouse beauties, 14 billion in CapEx, 9-year build. So we think power prices go down in Georgia, and we think that the nuclear energy mix goes up, and that's why we selected Georgia as a state. Up in Midland, Pennsylvania, the facility there is about a mile away from a nuclear power plant. So proximity is one reason, and the fact that it's very, very cheap and very, very, very much carbon-free energy on the nuclear side, and similar for wind and hydro. They're better energy sources, but we take it all.
There's a bunch of questions from the chat that I want to get to, so I want to go there right now. This one is from James Santangelo. How much in funding would it take to generate roughly 2 to 3K a month? I'm assuming he's referring to revenue from Bitcoin. 2 to
Sorry, what was
3K.
the question?
2 to
What would
3.
it-
How much in funding would it take to generate roughly 2 to 3K worth of Bitcoin a month? I think is what James is asking. I don't know, James. I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not. James, please clarify that question. And then, because I'm not quite sure I understand it. Cole is asking one. This is a common question. What happens when all the Bitcoin are mined?
So theoretically, when all the Bitcoin are mined in 2140, which is 119 years from today, transaction fees will be a much larger share of the Bitcoin subsidy, and that'll make up the rewards for Bitcoin miners.
That's a question I feel like you've been asked a lot, and you have a very you have a very concise answer for it. What Super SPAC man? What is your break-even price point for Bitcoin to keep expanding? And then that's the first one, and there's follow-ups to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So $5,321 is our break-even.
Okay.
And
can you compare, just like the price of oil dictates whether or not it makes sense to drill more? Is there a Bitcoin equivalent to that?
Oh, that's a good question. I've not been given that one before.
Oh, you hear that, man?
Yeah, the Bitcoin protocol is pretty unique in that context, whereby the high, similar to a traditional mining business, the higher cost producers fall out of the market or turn their computers off when the Bitcoin price falls. But because we're one of the lowest cost producers, we're basically the last man standing. I think that answers your question.
Rich Israel, Rich, are you and I related by chance? I wonder if we are. He's asking why Georgia, as a you already kind of said why Pennsylvania because proximity to the power plant, but why Georgia? As we hear a lot about mining in states like Montana, for example, right? So why Georgia as opposed to one of those northern states where it's colder?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, the colder states are better. These Bitcoin miners run really hot, and if they get too hot, they shut down. But what we've done, we've come up with modular data center technology, which is basically a glorified 40-foot shipping container, which we heavily modify with performance management software, racking, cooling. So the temperature is less of an issue for us. We get north of 90% uptime in Georgia. But answering your question directly, in Georgia, we've got a very, very low cost of power. In Pennsylvania, we've got a very, very low cost of power, and we can get that power from non-carbon emitting renewable energy sources. So it ticks all of our boxes.
What are the largest producers of energy that you can buy from? That's an interesting question. He's trying to go a derivative of you. All right, interesting.
Yeah. So nuclear, as I understand it, and I don't quote me on it, but I think is around 20% of baseload energy in the US. So nuclear is a huge component. Obviously, there's an oil and gas piece in the US grid. And then oil and gas, beg your pardon, then wind, solar, and hydro are a further component. I don't have the exact breakdown, but look, I suspect that over time, nuclear will be a really good transition energy as we move from fossil fuels into fully renewable energy sources. And I think Bitcoin's a really good process to undertake as part of that energy transition. You can create a lot of value in local communities. And I'll give you an example of solar here in Australia. So we have a problem that we have a duck curve in Australia where renewables are very, very prevalent in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day. There's too much energy. And then there's not enough energy in the morning and the afternoon when people are, washing their children or having dinner. And so a Bitcoin miner can turn up and, we're having these conversations currently. We could take 100 megawatts of draw. We can switch off in the heavy use periods during the morning and the afternoon, and we can switch off intermittently to provide some flex to the grid. And for a solar facility, that's huge. They can go to the bank and say, hey, we've got a big customer, we can fund the next project. And it just eliminates that duck curve in Australia. So there's lots of very, very good reasons as to why Bitcoin mining can be a positive contributor.
I think he was asking where specifically you buy your energy from.
Oh, we get it from the grid. Yeah, so we get it from the grid from MEAG, Municipal Energy Authority of Georgia, and then in Pennsylvania, I think it's from PGE or Duquesne Light. I'd have to check.
More broadly, Nick, when we're looking at a Bitcoin mining company like yours or any, I guess what are the key things that people should measure them, or how should we compare them to each other, right? Obviously hash rate's important, right? Mining capacity is important, but I don't even know how many public mining companies there are. Probably more than a dozen at this point. What are the different things that we can compare them, against?
Yeah. Look, it's a great question. Something I think about a lot. A really rough and ready approach is to divide market cap by your petahash out to end of calendar 2022, and that's where the most rich publicly available data is. But it's important to distinguish between those miners that are funded for that growth and those that need to raise more capital to get there.
Okay. So say again, mining. I'm sorry, market cap divided by
your exahash. So, we've got a 5 exahash target by end of 2022, early 2023, and our market cap's $800 million. So you divide one by the other, you come up with a number. You do that for all your other Bitcoin miners, and it's a really sort of rough and ready way of comparing miners to each other.
Got it. Yeah. And it's weird because some of these miners are obviously much larger than others. I guess that would depend on the hash rate, right? That I would seemingly justify it. But so you guys just reported your earnings for last quarter, so you have that out of the way. What is sort of the next catalyst here?
We obviously report a quarterly every quarter. We've got a 10K coming through the back end of this year. Look, when we hit meaningful milestones on our exahash growth and deployment, we'll update the market. We've got a couple of things in the pipe, which I'll keep you the right side of the wall on, just around miner purchases and so on. So there's plenty of bullets in the chamber, but as I said, I'll keep you the right side of the wall on that one.
Fair enough. All right. Nick Hughes-Jones is the Chief Commercial Officer of Mawson Infrastructure, ticker is MIGI, and he stayed up past 3 a.m. his time to hang out with us today. Nick, we appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for sharing insights. We will definitely have to hear from you again soon, maybe at a better time for you. I don't know. But I appreciate you coming on today on All Access and try to get some sleep and thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Israel, and guys. Thanks. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the questions.
All good, Nick. All good. We made it through. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Nick. Just to give you some behind the scenes, Nick was like a last minute booking, right? That was a very last minute that we got Nick on the show today. So I'm very, very grateful for him for coming on such short notice, telling us about Mawson. Look, again, like I said, I don't even know how many mining company stocks there are out there. I'm sure more than a dozen. And it's one of the hottest sectors on the street right now. That's just the way it is, right? And there's so much money like flooding into the space. And maybe companies like Riot and Mara get all the attention because they're the largest in the US, but they shouldn't, right? So again, I'm not telling you to go buy MIGI. That is not the point here. The point here is to talk about the company and the industry at large, right? And I think, we all learned a few things from that conversation. I think the big thing is carbon offset credits, right? That's probably the number one way that companies become like ESG compatible, compliant, friendly. Maybe we should have someone who's in that market on one of these shows, because if you don't know about that market, it's a very interesting market. But great questions from the chat for Nick. Keep them coming for our next guest here, who I'm going to bring on in a couple of minutes. But thank you again to Nick Hughes-Jones from Mawson. And okay, before I bring on our next guest, I just real quick want to do one more thing. And I shared with you at the top of the show a couple of resources that I use to learn about crypto, be it crypto news or just crypto investing in general. The last one I want to show you is obviously Benzinga Pro here. This is not free. If you want a free 2-week trial, you have to go to pro.benzinga.com, but this is a paid service. And how I use Benzinga Pro to find crypto news and keep track of the market. There's 2 things that I do. Number one, I'm in my news feed here. This is a general news feed that's got no filter. The only filter it has on is this is just the Benzinga News while you're here. And I will just do a keyword search, right? and I'll just do a keyword search for blockchain, right? Every single headline or story we've ever published with the word blockchain will come up like that, right? And what I do is I don't even read the headlines. I just look at the tickers, right? So obviously you see a lot of like, and this is for trading ideas or just, figuring out who's in the space, right? I'm just 30 headlines a day. I'm not reading all of these, but what I am doing is looking at the tickers and saying, okay, what companies do we tag here? There's Riot. Oh, look at that. Argo Blockchain, ARQQ, BKYI, DOCN, Mullen, OLB, right? We got Riot. We got BLBX. We got a bunch of tickers here. Every day we're tagging different tickers that are related to different headlines, obviously, right? And that's easy way to find out companies in the space. Blockchain. Second thing I'll search for is crypto, right? It's like a Google search, but just for news about that one thing, and just to find companies about companies in the space, right? So I'll literally search for crypto, and boom, same thing. You see tickers like HUT, you see Nvidia, right? You see Very, right? Disney, Hasbro, Mattel, any company that's had news related to crypto in recent history will come up in this search, right? So it's so easy. It takes 2 seconds. But if I say, hey, I just need an idea of like some stocks, some stocks to trade or stocks to look at, I want to invest in the space, you can just go in here and do a keyword search. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is use the watch list tool. All right, this is a tool that this is a watch list that I made when Coinbase was doing its IPO earlier in the year. All right, and I thought, okay, let me just compile a list of like a bunch of crypto stocks. Not all of them. It's not all encompassing, because I haven't updated it in a little bit here. But the list, generally speaking, of crypto stocks that have exposure to the space in some way, shape, or form. You got some miners on here. You got some companies that are much larger that do some other things like Square, Nvidia, PayPal, but they have exposure. Overstock, right? And I look at this when I want to get a general sense for like, okay, I forget like the actual coins for a minute. What are the stocks doing? What are the public companies doing today? Are they up? Are they down? A lot of times there's a 1-to-1 correlation, right? Crypto goes up, crypto stocks go up. Crypto goes down, crypto stocks go down. But it's not always the case because a lot of these companies do a lot of other things, right? So this is a watch list that I try to look at this every few days, just to get an idea, right, for what's going on. Are the crypto stocks up? Are the crypto stocks down? Look, you see Tesla on there, right? Obviously, Tesla is not a quote unquote crypto company, but they own Bitcoin. Therefore, ipso facto, they're on my list. And this is I don't even have to keep track. I don't have to remember. Oh, what are all the crypto stocks? Because I have this. I made this myself. You can do it too, right? You just write it down here and boom. You don't even have to remember ever again because it's there for you. Running watch list. Highly, highly recommend it. I try to write down everything so I don't have to remember it all. I just know if I need to know where to find it, I go right here. Benzinga Pro on my watch list. I already did the work. I already wrote it down. When we get asked randomly on any given show, oh, what are some crypto stocks? Boom, that's where I go. Right? My watch list in Pro. Took me 5 seconds to make. Reference it all the time. So, want to mention that as well. Okay. Shelly, maybe one day. Maybe one day, Shelly. Okay, let's bring on here our next guest. And I can't wait to ask him how he came to this industry as well, because he has an interesting background. Sheldon Bennett is the CEO of DMG Blockchain. Let's bring him on the show. Sheldon, how are we doing today?
Hey, great. How are you?
Where are you? Where in the world are you located right now?
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, up in Canada.
Okay.
up where the big storm hit. It also hit down in Seattle and Portland and areas like that. But
yeah, I heard you guys are like cut off from the rest of Canada.
yeah, our main highways are all been flooded. All the valleys are flooded. Traffic stopped. Grocery stores are emptying out pretty fast.
Oh, so, no. All right.
But I've heard that they're getting some of the roots growing today. So,
all right. That's good.
You know, that's good. But yeah, it's been amazing. I was sitting here. I work in this little office in the garage when I'm not at our office downtown. And just looked out my window and I was in shock at how much rain was coming off my roof, because usually the gutters grab it all. And it was just sliding right by the gutters. It was crazy.
Anyway, that's not good. I'm glad to see you're doing okay. But Sheldon, I want to start with just your background. You have a very interesting background. You're more of a technologist, right? Our last guest was had a traditional finance background. You're more of a technologist, and you spent a lot of time working overseas, right, in Russia and in other countries.
That's true. Yeah, you've done a bit of homework.
I have done a little bit of homework. Yeah. So tell us about your background, sort of how you ended up as the CEO of DMG.
Yeah, so I grew up in BC in a small town and went off to university in BC like most people do. Shortly after that, I started a consulting company, did that for a few years and had the opportunity to go over to Russia to study Russian language for 9 months. And that was back in 2000. So I took the opportunity, closed down my consulting company, flew over to Russia thinking it was going to be for 9 months, and I ended up spending 13 years there.
Wow.
So I worked most of my time in accounting firms, actually, in PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young. Then I went over and worked for a while in Cisco Systems, which is when I actually first heard about Bitcoin, with all the technology engineers in Cisco.
Yeah, you had a good job at Cisco. So and you left it for this upstart industry, this upstart company. So,
yeah, but Cisco was great. We were doing great things. It was the time when everybody was kind of running into Russia. All the Western companies are going into the previous Soviet Union, and so oil and gas was there, lumber was there, consumer products, SAB Miller was there. I mean, everybody was coming in, and as a brand new market, I worked with Research in Motion, so the BlackBerry guys, back when they had a great phone system, bring them into Russia. Yeah. We did all sorts of projects around encryption, so encrypted devices that were manufactured outside of Russia, trying to sell them in Russia. We did all great things in Cisco. Cisco was just doing a fabulous job there.
And you left all that for blockchain.
We left it all for blockchain because, when we started understanding what blockchain can do and where it's going, it's kind of like when the internet came out, you wanted to get on those internet companies, the Netscape Navigators and the Microsofts in the early days, right? Yeah. And you want to be in the companies of the early days in the world of blockchain as well. And still, from my point of view, it's early days. I see a lot of the companies you were talking about earlier, the marathons and the riots, and hopefully us and others becoming the next Microsofts and Cisco's and Amazons and so on and so forth. I mean, we're really at the forefront of cryptocurrency and blockchain, and we're also the ones that are amassing the most of it when you look at the mining side of our business.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but I'm more interested. There are lots of miners out there, right? But not everyone is doing what you're doing. You've decided, okay, we want to provide a blockchain solution for companies. Right?
Yeah,
we're in the blockchain infrastructure game. Obviously, you're not the only ones, but there really aren't as many of those guys as there are as miners, for example. So, I'm just curious. Explain your business, because it's twofold.
Yeah, there's two parts of business. We call it core and core plus. A really simple way to remember it. Core business is just Bitcoin mining, and we've been doing that since 2016. And so we have our own facility up here in Canada, 85 megawatts, our own property, our own substation. It's busy, making Bitcoin for us all day. But as myself being in technology for so long, I thought it was really a lost opportunity to just make a Bitcoin, stick it on your balance sheet, or sell it if you need some cash to pay wages and power bills. Because we understand how Bitcoin works so well, and we had the software company we bought in 2018 called Blockseer out of Silicon Valley. We took a lot of that software knowledge and data analytics, and we applied it to our Bitcoin mining. And we started creating a software platform that goes along with all of our Bitcoin mining operations. So the first thing we did was we made an Explorer so you can see all the Bitcoin wallet addresses, where all the Bitcoins are going. We added on risk levels to that with some of our partnerships of going into the dark web and finding out, who the criminal elements are running Bitcoin and who the good guys are. And we added that on called a wallet score. But we also created a product called Helm that helps us optimize our Bitcoin mining operations. We created 2 pools now, Bitcoin mining pools. I think everybody is aware of Marathon, the largest Bitcoin miner in the US. So we actually launched a pool called Block Zero Pool. Marathon saw it, liked it. We turned around and white labeled that pool for them. And now it's called Marapool. So it's based off of our technology. And we run that for them right now. We mine on that pool as well with Marathon. So we're good friends with them. And we have a new pool called TerraPool coming out with a partnership with Argo, another company you were mentioning a few minutes ago. That pool, TerraPool, is all sustainable energy. So if you're a sustainable energy user, like us, we're all on hydroelectricity power. You can join that pool and sort of show that you are all renewable energy on the TerraPool. But on top of that, so you have this idea of a bunch of machines creating Bitcoin. But in creating that Bitcoin, you control that process of making a Bitcoin just by having these miners, but you don't control the wallet that the Bitcoin goes to. Because you're not in the wallet business, and we've gotten into the wallet business as well. You don't control the pool where that Bitcoin is generated and paid out to, because you're not in the pool business, and we've gotten into that business as well. You don't control a whole bunch of different parts of the world of Bitcoin by just making it Bitcoin. And for our company, we kind of look at a strategy saying, well, let's make Bitcoin, but let's control and get involved and transact and make more revenue through all the other parts after Bitcoin is made. And that's what we've really gone after. And I see you popped up one of my slides. And when you look at this sort of idea of Bitcoin creation, this is just what we call the core business. This is just the computers and the servers that make Bitcoin. But you look at Bitcoin monetization, that's all of our software, our core plus. This is the mining pools. This is Petra. This is the wallets. This is our exchange. This is all the data analytics that we do around it. And if you think about it, when you look at other companies like Coinbase is trading Bitcoins, I mean, they are an exchange. And if you look at BitGo, they're like a wallet company. And there's a whole bunch of companies out there that are taking little parts and pushing that out as their business. And we're just trying to vertically integrate it and say, come and work with us. You can mine with us. You can get equipment from us. You can build your operations with us because we supply all of that. But also we can get you a wallet. We can get you into exchanging your coins. We can get you into all sorts of things that a traditional pure Bitcoin mining company can't do.
In a weird way, though, wouldn't you also be cannibalizing yourself?
Well, I don't think so, because the market's so big.
Okay.
When you think about how much hash rate came out of China, and if you look at it, North American miners are really taking advantage of that. And in the past, it was just really difficult to grow any real scale because you relied, or I shouldn't say you relied, but you're always fighting against the amount of hash rate in China. But now that hash rate is moved out or is moving out.
Yeah, asked it before. So China. What are your thoughts on the ban there? How is it affecting your business?
I mean, it's sad in some ways to see a government do that to its nation, but it's great for North America. I mean, for our business, it's been wonderful. We get a lot of access to miners. We have a lot of people wanting to host with us. We still do some hosting, not as much as we used to. And there's just been an uptake all the way around of people building operations. And so we sell equipment into crypto miners. So people buy containers from us. They buy power channels and PDUs from us. They buy different, consulting services. So it's been a real uptake for us on the core side of our business of supporting other Bitcoin mining operations growing. And it's been a great for us because we're getting access to miners that traditionally we would be waiting 6 months, 9 months to get miners. Now we can do spot deals and get them in 2 or 3 weeks.
So I want to bring up this image here this is my favorite image from your deck, because I'm a very visual person, and I'm still struggling in myself to sort of get a true picture in my head of like the entire crypto / blockchain ecosystem. But I love this here. It sort of paints a picture of who is where, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm to understand this, like in theory, all these companies you have listed below DMG, those could all be clients of yours, or maybe
Exactly. So yeah, on the top, I mean, I made this deck and I got a phone call from some of my friends at Bitcoin mining that didn't like it. They're like, hey, why are you capping us at $16 billion? Like, we don't want the market to know that we're kind of capped. And that number is just really what, it changes every day based on the price of Bitcoin. But it's just like, this is how much Bitcoin is generated in a year. Right. And these are like the big guys that are public companies that are going after that 16 billion. And so, I mean, that's just a truth. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But the transactional part of the economy is so much bigger. And so when you look at Coinbase and Fidelity and BitGo, and I named a few of them, there's probably lots more I can put in there.
Yeah.
They're all the transactional side of those Bitcoins. Once they're made, they're moving around all day. You know, there's hundreds of millions of dollars moving around all day that Bitcoin miners don't get involved in. And so we are going after that piece of the pie. And we were getting into this custody, the chain, on-chain analytics, the exchange, the pools, everything. We're looking at trying to get transactional fees all the time, every day in Bitcoin moving around the ecosystem. And specific to like some of these names in here, Coinbase and so on, we're also creating products that they can use. And in our Blockseer suite of products, we have something called Petra that is a subscription-based software. We've now demoed it out. We put out a PR release about our testnet demo with Standard Chartered Bank's technology arm called Zodia, where we can actually give financial institutions or subscribers or banks or whoever it is the optionality of working with us and picking what pool their transactions go into. And you're kind of thinking, well, who cares what pool my transactions go into? It's like, who cares where my transactions go when I actually use my Visa or my MasterCard, right? It's transacted, and the merchant gets my money and the money comes out of my bank account. Who cares about the process? Well, in crypto mining, you do care, because what happens is every time a block is formed and mined by all these miners that have these servers like we do, that block is formed by a whole bunch of transactions with transaction fees. And in that block can be all sorts of different criminal wallets. And those wallets are all listed out by the US government. The Department of Treasury has this OFAC list, Office of Foreign Asset Control. And in that list, it says you can't do business with these companies. So banks that have a high OFAC, how do I say it? Have to follow the OFAC requirements. They can't do business or be seen doing business with people that are on this blacklist. And so we've created a way that we call clean block mining, that we can filter out all these bad addresses and only mine a block that has these sort of clean or validated transactions in them. So counterparties that aren't criminals. And this is really important, because if you want to get banks and financial institutions to start using crypto and bringing crypto to their clients and increase the adoption of crypto, you need to make sure that they can meet all the regulatory requirements. So with clean block mining, we could give you this optionality. Like, if you work with us, we'll get you a clean block, and you don't have to worry about criminal elements being involved in your bank side of the business of moving Bitcoin transactions around. And you can also add the optionality of clean energy. If you have a clean energy protocol in your company where you're not allowed to use, high carbon processes, we can give you the TerraPool option, and you can do it all with clean energy. And so we're adding this optionality in for people that really care about clean energy. They care about criminal elements. They care about even geolocation. If you only want to have wallets and do business with people in a certain area, we're adding in geolocation as well, so that you can meet this new FinTrack traveler rule. So we're really focused in on the compliance side of bringing cryptocurrency to North America, or out of the world, but really focus on North America in a compliant way to get the financial institutions adopting cryptocurrency.
Well, keep fighting the good fight, because we're still we're trying, but
we got a ways to go.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle, for sure. I'm just curious, of the two parts of your business, of the core mining and the core plus everything else, which makes up a larger part of the business, just in terms of revenue?
By far, right now, it's the crypto mining. So it's the core business. It's like 95% of our revenue. Okay. The revenue side, crypto mining right now is unreal, as everybody will tell you, as you're seeing the earnings releases of other public companies. Right now, with the hash rate moving out of China and into North America, and where the Bitcoin price is and the difficulty level, it's a very profitable business right now. I've been in this business for a long time. I started back in 2013 with another company before I started DMG, and I've never seen revenue like this before. So it's a great business right now to be a Bitcoin miner. But don't forget, the way that the blockchain works in Bitcoin mining is that over time, as that difficulty increases, if the price of Bitcoin doesn't increase with it, our profits get squeezed out, and it gets much more competitive to make a profit.
Well, that would be why you have the right half of the screen, right?
Exactly. So we're trying to make profit continually on the core plus side, where it doesn't matter what's happening in the Bitcoin mining world, we're making money off the transactional world of Bitcoin. So everybody moving around, buying and selling it, holding it, doing whatever they are doing with crypto. So we're trying to have two revenue streams. And of course, the Core Plus or the software side, it's small now, but a lot of the software is really taking off, and I think it's going to keep growing. We've got a lot of financial institutions interested in our Petra software. We've got a lot of people interested in our pools, and more and more people joining our pools. And we'll be launching our wallet soon and our exchange soon. And when these are all launched and running, and you can run in a compliant way, moving all your crypto coins around, I think we'll get a lot of uptake on the software side. We'll start seeing software revenue up there with our crypto mining revenue.
So yeah, you mentioned the OFAC compliance, but like what other sort of questions do you get asked, or like sticking points are there? If I'm like if I'm a Fidelity, for example, and I'm like, we gotta dot our I's and cross all of our T's here. I imagine they're probably sticklers for like things like security, for example, right, and data management. I'm just curious, like, what are the big sticking points for? And you've got all these lists of great products that you're offering, right? But I'm sure there are some.
So yeah, I mean, one of the first questions is always energy. It's top of mind right now. So, they ask us, what is the energy source of our operations, which is hydro up in British Columbia. And so usually that question goes fast.
Can I ask why? Why hydro?
Just in British Columbia, we have a lot of rivers, lots of mountains, and I think we're around 99% in the province is hydro. There's some geothermal, there's a bit of wind in that, but the province took a stance on carbon a while ago, and they've really pushed out carbon producing energy. And really moved to renewable, and I think they've been doing a great job of managing that, and it's good for us because we don't really have these questions of how much carbon's in the power you consume. We just basically say none, so which is great. But so they ask that, but it's usually a fast question for us, and then they move on to some of the questions around what we do on the coins. So we talk a lot about Petra and how we can use our technology around Blockseer to ensure that we have clean coins. So there's this idea of Petra in mining, but there's also this idea of just the coins themselves. So we have our Blockseer Explorer and Wallet Score that look at the risk rating and all the past history and provenance of coins. So we can see, the coins that we have, that they're clean, they haven't done business with nefarious characters. We can understand if we're going to buy or sell or move coins around, the counterparties. We can see their coins, their coin history, their wallets, and make sure that we're doing good transactions. And I've given this example a few times. If Tesla wants to sell, I like using Elon Musk since he really made a lot of noise in this area. If they want to sell one of their Teslas for $60,000, and I think they're taking Bitcoin again, they stopped for a while. They want to know the provenance of that Bitcoin. It's just the same as you came in with $60,000 in cash. You're filling out a lot of forms, and they're asking where the cash came from. Our wallet score technology does the same thing. So we can take a look at somebody's wallet and all the coins that they've amassed in there to send over to you, and tell you whether or not there's a lot of risk around receiving these coins, if these coins are linked to any sort of criminal activities. And that's a great thing. It's kind of helping companies make sure that they're doing the right things when they're doing transactions. The other side of it is, we also KYC all the miners in our pools. So we know that, when you talk about OFAC, it's not just OFAC in the wallet that's transacting in a block. It's also the miner. Is the miner that's getting paid? Are they, on the sanction list from North Korea? Are they from Iran? These are countries that we're not allowed to do business with. So we ensure that on the miner side, they're North American miners that we know. We've KYC'd them. We assure the wallets we're working with are called KYC'd, and we can track those wallets, look at their past history. We have clean energy. We're trying to knock everything off one after another. All the questions that come up that's a Fidelity or anybody else would be asking about doing transactions or working with DMG.
KYC, know your customer. If you didn't know that, industry insider jargon. Sheldon Bennett is the CEO of DMG Blockchain. I guess, Sheldon, as we wrap it up here, any plans to uplist to an exchange here in the U.S.?
Yes, I get asked that one quite a bit. We are Canadian listed, and obviously a lot of our Canadian friends have already uplisted onto the NASDAQ. So we've had many discussions with the NASDAQ with our accountants and lawyers. So that is something on the slate for next year. We're actually doing a bit of a comparison between NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange. There's a lot of benefits to the New York that I think a lot of people are not looking at. And so we're having a bit of a debate internally with our advisors on which exchange would be better for DMG.
I don't know much. I just assumed they both had the same high fees, but I don't know much.
They're all expensive. All exchanges are.
That's what I figured. Sheldon Bennett is the CEO of DMG Blockchain, ticker DMGGF here in the US. If you're in Toronto or Canada, ticker DMGI. Sheldon, thank you so much for coming on All Access today. Appreciate the time. Learned a lot about the company. We'll definitely be in touch and look forward to seeing progress down the road.
Yeah, my pleasure. Enjoy doing all of your shows. So hopefully I'll be back again soon.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully. Thanks a lot, Sheldon.
All right, thank you.
Stay safe, please.
All right, no problem. Thanks.
All right. Hey, guys, that's a wrap for All Access today. Benzinga Live is going live. Like right now, I'm going to teleport myself over from this studio to that studio, and I'll see you guys over on the next show. So if you haven't already, do what the little icon said. Hit that like button. We really do appreciate that. Our next one of these shows is not going to be for I think 3 weeks. We're taking a little bit of a break on the All Access front. We have 2 more slated for December. And yeah, hit the like. Again, I hope you all learned something about blockchain, crypto today. We're doing a lot more of these starting next year. And thank you to Sheldon. Thanks to Nick. And I'll see you guys over on Benzinga Live. I'm going to end it with a commercial for our last Benzinga boot camp of the year. Roll it.